What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative, a channel I created in order to have a place to share with all of you about all of the things that I read. Today I am going to share about some books that I have read, more importantly, reread. I am going to do the Deja Vu Book Tag, an original tag created by my friend Walker Wright 7. He tagged me in this video, gosh, maybe a year ago? But I took a break from tags because they all seem to be asking the same questions over and over, just perhaps a different theme. So I took a break. I'm back in the mood and I wanted to jump in with some that I had been tagged in. So let's jump into prompt number 1, which is, do you reread and how often? Absolutely, I reread. I want to say I just about have 1, sometimes 2 rereads per month. Now, I probably won't over the next few months because I am helping judge the SPFBO 8 contest, plus my reads that I had accepted for review from publishers and other self-published authors. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to squeeze in any rereads over the next few months. So that's killing me though. Prompt number 2, why do you or don't you reread? Well, since I am a rereader, the reason why, it feels like coming home. It's comfortable, it's familiar. I usually learn something new every time I reread that book. I'll catch a different nuance from a character I missed before. Sometimes I'll even reread thrillers because depending on how dark and twisty they are at the end, I want to go back with the knowledge of what happens and see if I missed it, to see how obvious the signs were that I missed, or if the author was just so stinking clever that I missed it again the second time. That has happened. Prompt number 3, what have been your favorite books to reread? Just about any time I pick up a book to reread it, I loved it the first time. I know I'm gonna love it the second time. In recent years, I would have to say the Stormlight Archives for Brandon Sanderson, all of Joe Abercrombie's First Law books, the Harry Potter books, the Dark Tower books. Favorite standalone is Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. I typically reread that one once a year. There's just so many. As somebody who rereads almost constantly, that's a very difficult question to just pin it down to 1 or 2. Prompt 3.5. What would you like to reread? Everything. I have a whole list of books that are on my list to reread at some point or as soon as I can work them in. I just randomly will pick one, or just whatever mood I'm in when I get to do a reread. All of them. I mean, that's just, I can't narrow that down. Prompt number 4. What book do you predict will be so good you want to reread it? For this one, I chose Shauna Maguire's Seasonal Fears. I absolutely adored the first book in the Alchemical Journey series, Middle Game. I have no doubt I'm going to enjoy this one too. I predict it's going to be a top tier read for me. I predict I'm going to love this one. I predict I am going to reread this one, especially if she continues writing more in this series, because what did I do in preparation for this one? I reread Middle Game. Prompt number 5. Pick a book from your younger years that you think would be interesting to reread. I'm going to cheat on this one, and I'm going to talk about a series that I am planning to reread with my friend Kate from the Literary Apothecary starting in September, once I get past all of my reads for the summer, and that's going to be the Harry Potter series. We're going to reread the series, but we're going to use the illustrated edition books to do so. These are gorgeous. My friend Kate actually gifted me the first book in the series, and my mother-in-law got me the rest of them, at least the ones that are out currently. I am so excited to reread this series. It was such a great series when I was younger. Gosh, how long has this series been out now? Over 20 years, I believe. The characters of this series are so iconic. They meant so much to us younger bookworms. It's just chock full of nostalgia. I can't wait to reread this series. Prompt number 6. Tell us a series or book that's so big or complex you need to reread to better understand. I don't have an answer for this. If I start reading a book and I find that it's a very complex story, I slow down. I take it in smaller chunks. For instance, I might read 50 pages per day or 1 to 2 chapters per day, depending on how long the chapters are. And then I will let that sit and just ruminate, so I can just sift through everything that happened and just have time to let that sit and take root in my mind until the next day when I read the next chunk. And that's just worked very well for me. Prompt number 7. Is there a specific type of genre you think is best or worst for reread potential? As far as a genre that is worst for reread potential, I would say thrillers, because typically once you know how it ends, the mystery is solved, you don't ever want to pick that book up again. Now, I'm different. I will typically reread a thriller, at least a really good one that I loved, to go back and see how obvious the signs were that I missed or not. So as far as a genre that's best for rereads, I'm gonna go with fantasy. The majority of the rereads I have done recently have been either science fiction or fantasy, but the majority are fantasy. Prompt number 8. Is there a book you've liked more upon reread? Yes, I have a perfect one for that. That's Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings. I read it, I loved it. A month later, there was a read-along that started up for the series in preparation for Rhythm of War coming out, so I jumped on board, immediately reread Way of Kings. Because of certain moments that happen with characters, they're just so inspirational. They just light me up from the inside. They make me so happy where I'm just hollering and fist pumping when they happen, even knowing when they're coming. I look forward to it. You know, just the experience is just insane. If you're out there and you've read this series, you know exactly the type of moments I'm talking about, and you're shaking your head yes because you know exactly how it feels. It's just so good. Prompt 8.5. Is there a book you liked less upon reread? No. At least that has not happened to me yet. I typically only reread favorites, and that means I usually love it more upon reread. So luckily I've not had this happen. Prompt number 9. If you reread, let us know a book you would like to reread before the end of this year. For this one, I would choose Stephen Graham Jones' My Heart is a Chainsaw, because we're gonna get book 2 in this trilogy. I want to say February of 2023. It was supposed to be next month, but it got pushed for whatever crazy reason. So I will definitely want to reread My Heart is a Chainsaw in preparation for book 2. So I might sneak this one in the fall season for a good Halloween read. I love this book so much. I actually read it twice last year, and I can't wait to reread it again. So after answering all these questions, I've discovered something about myself. I am a serial rereader. This was such a fun tag. Thank you so much to my friend Walker Wright 7 for creating this tag. If you are not aware, Walker Wright 7 is an author. He has book 1 out in his YA fantasy called Weavers. You guys should definitely check that out. It is such a great story. I was fortunate enough to beta read the second book in the series. I can't wait for that to come out, because you know what? I'm going to reread it. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this tag. Basically learning I like to read all of my books over and over and over again. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.